Welcome to She Speaks Softly, the podcast for quiet girls who have always felt like their voice doesn't matter, who shrink in rooms where others speak freely, or who have been made to feel there's something wrong with being quiet or introverted. This podcast is for the women who struggle with self-doubt, low confidence, and feelings of not being enough. Over this 3-part series, I'll share my story as the silent girl, the shy girl who didn't speak up, who felt awkward, unseen, and unsure of herself, and how those experiences shaped my identity and self-worth. By the end of this series, you will learn how to reclaim your voice, grow your confidence, strengthen your self-worth, and begin to step into your God-given identity and purpose. Let me take you back to my earliest memories in school. From kindergarten through 2nd grade, I was bullied by my classmates. They would try to get me to talk by pinching me, chasing me, stealing my pens and pencils from inside my desk, usually as I sat there watching, and copying my schoolwork and laughing at my lack of response. Now, I would make faces to show that I was frustrated. Sometimes I'd physically try to take back my things, but I never verbally responded or spoke up to defend myself. I didn't speak up to tell my teachers either. I ran from them, and after school, I'd cry. Sometimes I'd tell my mom, but mostly I stayed quiet. In class, when teachers would have students take turns reading aloud, they had to skip me because I refused to speak. I mean, when we had a class pizza party, I would get in line, and instead of speaking and telling them I wanted pepperoni or cheese, I'd simply point to the slice that I wanted. At recess, I was alone, except when being chased by classmates who were trying to get a reaction out of me. And I remember one day vividly. A few classmates were pinching me, and my only response was to run away from them. But I remember them chasing me across the playground, and I ran as fast as I'd ever run that day. And at one point, I tried to get near a teacher for help, but they just thought we were playing. I never said anything, so that teacher did not realize that I needed help. I ran and ran and ran, and eventually I fell and scraped my knees. The question you're probably wondering is the same exact question I always wondered myself. Why couldn't I just speak up and say, "Leave me alone"? I never, never understood why I didn't. When I started 3rd grade, my family and I moved, and I started fresh at a new school. And that's when I slowly began to come out of my shell. I spoke very softly and rarely to anyone. And there were moments when I would answer a teacher or classmate verbally, but they were few and far between. By 5th grade, I would answer questions in class only when called on, and I read aloud when it was my turn. But I still had no friends to hang out with at recess. I mostly kept to myself, walking around, talking to my imaginary friends, and yeah, imaginary boyfriends too. Writing stories and poetry and music became my outlet. I joined band and choir from 5th grade, and I stuck with it all the way through college. I loved music, and I enjoyed writing, and even though I rarely spoke, it seems like I still had something to say. By 7th grade, I had maybe 2 classmates I considered friends, and one of them was also quiet and a bit of a loner, but we connected. We would sit together at lunch, hang out on the playground, and pair up for group projects. And these small connections helped me feel seen even as I remained mostly quiet. What stands out most is this. I was always aware that I wasn't responding, even when everyone expected me to. I always wondered why I didn't speak up, even to defend myself. And though I've gained a lot of understanding about how my experiences shaped who I am today, I'll be honest, I still don't fully understand why I stayed silent for so long. People sometimes thought I was mute, even as a child. I had friends at church, but even with them, it took me a long time to come out of my shell and talk to them. As a child and as an adult, I've been asked the same questions over and over. Why are you so quiet? And Why don't you talk? And these questions are innocent, but for years, these questions and people's attempts to get me to speak louder and to talk more made me feel like being quiet or shy or soft spoken wasn't acceptable. See, at my core, I'm an introvert, quiet, observant, and for so long, I thought I needed to change who I am. I still have a soft voice, and I'm not talkative unless, well, you're my husband or my parents or a few coworkers that I've connected with over the years. I often have to remind myself to speak up so people can hear me, but other than that, I yeah, I mean, I've since learned that it's okay to just be me. Being the silent girl wasn't just about shyness, it shaped how I saw myself for years. I had dreams of being on stage, of singing and speaking for most of my life, but I didn't seriously consider it being a reality for me because I was not extroverted, loud, social, or charismatic enough. And I didn't think I'd ever get the opportunity because people only saw me as the shy girl who never talks. I saw myself that way as well. But here's the takeaway for today: your past does not have to define you. Your past can shape you and impact who you're becoming, but it does not have to define you. And it is not a dictator. It does not have to dictate what you are capable of. My past is a part of my story, and although the perspective I held of my own self held me back from truly understanding who I am and what I can do and pursuing my dreams, that is no longer the case, and I'm so thankful to God for the breakthrough. In the next episode, I'll share how I began to find my voice and build self confidence and self worth. And in the third and final episode of this series, I'll walk you step by step through how you can reclaim your voice, strengthen your self worth, and begin to step into and walk in your God given identity and purpose with confidence. Thank you for joining me for this first episode of She Speaks Softly. And if this story resonates with you, know that you're not alone and your quiet voice matters more than you think. I can't wait to continue this journey with you in the next episode.